everyone, welcome to the Fin Factor live edition. I am wearing my dad's shoes for you once again, which I don't understand. They're DC's. Are DC's dad shoes now? Is this new or is this a thing?
Yes.
It's already a thing.
Yes.
Lovely.
Look at
So
all white shoes. It just screams dad shoes. I'm sorry.
They're a little dirty. Come on. Went to the pumpkin patch today. Anyway, trying to talk about anything other than the Sharks right now because I know it's going to be a barrage of in the chat, which, by the way, feel free. Aaron has the laptop open, is ready to go. Got the comments and questions and all that stuff. So I don't know how much of the game were you able to see tonight?
Unfortunately, I got to see the last 10 minutes of the third period.
Okay.
So it was already 4-2 at that point, and then I saw him score the fifth goal, which I hate to say it was a really nice goal.
Yeah.
It's when they burned Dylan on the outside and did a power move. That was
Duclair.
Yeah. And I heard earlier the commentary said that I guess Dylan had blown up Duclair at the blue line or something, or the red line.
Yeah, he stepped up. Was it Duclair? He stepped
That's
up
what
on
he
someone
said.
right at the line there. Yeah, I guess knocked him out. I was at the pumpkin patch. So I was listening to Dan on the sitting there in line, and there was like hayride, and they have like speakers and stuff.
Which
I couldn't
one were
hear
you at?
anything at the Yusugi Farms.
Okay.
Yeah, we were out there. So out in Gilroy. Go check them out. They're a lot of fun. So I had my phone up to my ear like this because I could try to hear him over the speaker. So it was just, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I heard most of the first period, if not all, and then didn't quite catch all the second. I ended up watching it back. Just did a playback and watched most of it. And there were a couple funky goals from Ottawa there. There was one, I think the first one was, where he was passing it and the puck like hopped, skipped, and jumped. It was like he was skipping a stone over a pond or something like that. And it just went over, I think it was Couture's stick, and then, dude bangs it in. It's just like, it's kind of an unfortunate thing. But hey, you got to be ready for it. So is what it is. And then, gosh, the other one that was kind of weird. What was the other one now? I'm trying to remember.
The one where it went off his blocker.
Yeah, the blocker save where he punched it right out into the crease. I mean, that's not exactly where you want to put the puck. And they practice that stuff too, but they don't really practice that, I think, maybe from that off angle, and then making a blocker save from the left side of the net, pushing it all the way into the right corner. Yeah. So when he gets his blocker on it, he ends up putting it right out in front of him, and of course it falls right onto the stick of an Ottawa Senator. I think it was might have been Brady. I'm not really sure, but he just buried it, and yeah, no good. So it is what it is. Sometimes you're going to lay down a bit of a stinker, and tonight was definitely one of those nights. I think the other game, the game previous where we lost 4-1, yeah, Toronto.
That was a weird game because the score sounds worse than it was.
Yeah, it was 2-1 is really what it comes down to. It was only 2-1.
Right.
And 2 empty net goals. Let's kind of toss those out the window.
One empty net goal and one goal was on Martin Jones when he got back in the net.
Oh, okay.
So it's a funky way to get to 4.
See, and again, for that one, I was with my kids at the rink, so I didn't get to watch all that.
It's just kind of weird. It was odd because they scored an empty netter with maybe a minute left, and then got the puck in deep with 30 seconds, and they scored on Jones.
Yeah.
I want to say it was 5-0, but anyway,
Probably checked out
at that point it was like, yeah, whatever, it was already over. So so the score sounds worse than what the game was because the game was actually really close.
Yeah, it's funny because you take a look, there's one of the things they've been calling out all night too was the Sharks' 5-on-5 play has been not so hot as of late. 5 goals tonight against the Ottawa Senators, all of which were 5-on-5. Mm-hmm. But they were perfect on the PK.
So their PK is great.
It's almost like you want to play with the man down and hope you get a shorthanded goal.
You should take more penalties.
Serious. I don't know, it's a weird one. Anyway, again, if you guys have any comments, questions, Aaron's ready to take them before we jump right into it. Let's go ahead and just remind you guys that Super Chat is also available. We've got it turned on, so if there's anything you'd like to say to make sure Aaron gets a look at it, go ahead and use Super Chat for that. And of course, anything you do give goes to the show, helping us do all this fun stuff for you guys. So go right ahead.
Nice. All right, let's start at the top. Ryan Sontag, fire Dell. LOL.
Okay.
What do you think? I don't want to say I'm glad that Dell lost. I'm only glad in the sense that there would be a lot more stuff about trade away Jones and have Dell as the starter, which I was already seeing online that after Dell got the win in who'd they play? Montreal.
Yeah, Montreal.
He looked great in Montreal, but this is the Aaron Dell that we've come to know and love the last 2-3 seasons, where he looks great in a start and then follows up with back-to-back starts or a couple starts within a couple games in this situation, and just does not perform well.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last season where you brought up some stats of when Martin Jones went down and he was gone for a few games in a row and Aaron Dell took over, and the first game was great and the second game was not so great, and the third and fourth, whatever it was, those games were not good at all. So this is one of the things I've been trying to explain to people too is, just because a guy has a good game, I mean, that's good. A guy can have a great game, and that's what you want out of your backup. You need that one great game once in a while, right? But that doesn't make them the starter. There's guys that need to or that are able to play several games without a break. Martin Jones is one of those guys. Now he may not be again an elite goaltender, but he's at least got you're going to get that type of game out of him, on a consistent basis, right? With Aaron Dell, you're just not really sure what you're going to get, and he's only playing every once in a while. When you string together a few games, his game starts to go downhill pretty quick. Not saying that that's necessarily the reason we lost tonight. There's sure some defensive breakdowns.
It's
but
really, to me, the goaltending position. It's a lot more mental game.
Yeah.
I feel like the skill set. There's a difference between goalies, and they're all the same. But when you get to that level, the skill's kind of there. It's a lot of it is head games, and you just have to. It's so much concentrating during the game, watching the puck and playing it well and reading off of players and all that stuff. Just a slight lapse of judgment, and any player on any line is going to be able to score on you these days. There's no longer like the fourth line goons, right, that don't even know how to hit the puck with their stick. Like everyone's got a pretty hard shot now, especially with everyone not using wooden sticks or using composite sticks, so their shots a little harder. So anyway, it's a very mentally draining position, and it takes a lot to do it. And there's just some guys that just can't take that next step or will never be a starting goaltender. In my opinion, that's Aaron Dell.
And there's no fault of Aaron Dell's. Again, he's a very good quality goaltender. He's just in spurts. He needs more space in between games, it seems, right? Because again, we've seen him string a few together and it didn't really go so well. And that's no knock on him. It's just that's his role. That's what he's good at, and that's where we have him in play. So hopefully, next opportunity he gets, he shows Pete DeBoer a little something extra special, because that's kind of what DeBoer was telling him. Is I need more out of you.
Yep. He's challenging him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Going back to Sarah V. Question: what do you think of the Sharks' gameplay in the last couple of games? Well, in our normal episode, we always break down basically the week, and in this case, there was 4 games this week. So we're going to do that in our recorded show, which should come out tomorrow. So I don't want to get too much into it, but right now, to me, the Sharks, I feel like they're just not playing a full 60-minute game. They're playing good 20 minutes here, a good 10 minutes here. They're not stringing together a good full game. Now, I thought the Buffalo game is a great example. That's the one I think they should have won. I think someone even commented in here about that game should have been a win. It felt like it was going to be a win, and then they let Buffalo kind of squeak back in, and then we all saw what happened in overtime with the long shift of Timo and
Kevin
LeBanc. Yeah. So I think that's a great example where they played well for 40 minutes, or I guess 39 minutes, because they let them tie it right at the end of the second. And that just kind of, or not tie it, they got within one.
Well, they're scoring goals, letting goals in within 1 minute or so of the second period ending.
Exactly. Like I feel like they were playing well, and then they just kind of, that one got away from them. And it's unfortunate because they were on the road and they lost in overtime. They still got a point, but it's better to get 1 point when you were losing the game and you tie it to go into overtime rather than the other way around, where you had those 2 points ready to go.
You gave them up.
Yeah. So that's just my take, I think, on the Sharks' play pretty much this, I'd say the beginning of the whole season thus far. Not just this week, but the whole season.
Yeah, and let's not forget, this is the 3rd game in 4 nights.
Tonight was the 4th game in 6 nights.
3rd and 4 and 4th and 6.
Yeah.
And it's all travel. There's not like you have a long homestand. Now, we do have a long homestand coming up throughout November, I believe. So, maybe they'll get a little bit more of their game back on track. They're at home with their families, coming to the rink. It's a shorter thing. There's no travel involved in it, no time changes involved. So maybe that'll help them out, the homestand that's coming up. But, this is kind of what the bad thing about being West Coast hockey is the travel is grueling, right? And when you have to play 3 games in 4 nights and 4 games in 6, there's not much time to rest at all. So you could see it. You could see the weary legs. And they were talking about it, I think it was Hedekin was talking about it during one of the breaks I was listening on the radio. He was saying, their legs, that's one of the things that Ottawa was attacking. All of a sudden, Ottawa came out hitting, right? They started finishing their checks, slowing them down. And it showed. The Sharks slowed down quite a bit. I mean, there was just this long lapse between shots on goal that they had, I believe, in the second period. It was just, they did the right things. They took a team that was tired, that had played several games and not so many nights, and they beat them physically, right?
Yeah, I talked about this on Twitter a little bit. I think I made a couple comments where basically in that Toronto game, the Sharks needed to have a lead going into the third, not be behind in the third. Because at that point, that was the third game in 4 nights, and your legs are tired, especially in the third period. Mm-hmm. So you need to have that lead and hold on to it, be able to hold on to it in order to win. It's really hard to come back if you're down a goal or two. And like tonight, they were down. It was 4-2 at one point, and they were kind of pressing, but you could tell there was not much left.
Yeah,
and it just your legs are going to be gone. So the Sharks know this. Good teams wouldn't know this and be able to overcome. I don't want to throw out excuses. I mean, I understand. We're trying to explain why they might have looked a little sluggish compared to, like, let's say, the first game of the road trip. And they're going to be playing Boston on Tuesday, I believe. So not much of a break again. But after that, I don't think they're playing until they get a little bit of a break. I can't remember the next game. But
come home after that.
They do, but I can't remember what it is. I think it's like a Thursday or Friday or something. Anyway, my point being, like, I don't want to just say that's the whole reason they lost. More of, we're just kind of explaining, like, here's one of the reasons why. I mean, yeah, they played terribly too. It's not like you can't blame it all on the travel.
No.
But it is a piece of the pie of why they're losing.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's not an excuse. It's more like a partial explanation. We'll put it that way, right? So, just information for you guys in case you hadn't thought of that, maybe. But anyway,
going back a little bit here. From Noah Claxton, the games were frustrating, I won't lie. I feel the Leafs game was winnable. It wasn't a 4-1 game. In the Sens game, I noticed Karlsson getting burned a lot. Nicholas Egan, are concerned at all? It's confusing. Are concerned at all about 5-on-5 play?
Are you concerned at all? Is what
that's what. Okay. At 5-on-5, Sharks are last in goals for percentage as well as second to last expected goal for percentage and high danger chances for percentage. A lot of advanced stats there.
Yeah. Basically, they're when it comes to 5-on-5, they're not getting good quality chances.
They're not dangerous at all.
They're not.
Right.
So what was it? Vander Kane's got 7 goals on the year. Correct me if I'm wrong. And 6 of them were on the power play.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that's great. We're scoring power play goals when we get our opportunities. I like that. Don't get me wrong. It's not a problem. But you really should have closer to, like, I don't know, 10 goals, and 6 of them were on the power play, right?
I hate when it's like that, when you can't score 5-on-5, because there's going to be nights where you get 1 or 2 power plays, right? And you're not going to be able to win a game because you're not getting that man advantage. Or let's say you don't even score on those 2.
Right.
And
you're hosed.
Yeah.
So it's really weird. The 5-on-5 play is much worse than the PK and even the power play. The power play is really good. Mm-hmm. But we can't score 5-on-5. The PK has been really good, but we can't keep goals out of our net 5-on-5. So yeah, it is a huge concern. So I know some people are already kind of riding the Fire DeBoer train. Like, he's lost the locker room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All that stuff. You know what's funny about that, though?
How do you know?
You know what's funny about that, though? Here's the best part. If the head coach were to get fired, oftentimes they don't bring in a new head coach. They have like an interim coach, and it's usually the assistant.
Right.
Bugner.
Yeah, that's good.
Former head coach, right?
True. It could be an insurance policy.
Yeah, it's not bad. But no, we're not saying Fire DeBoer. I'm not going down that route. Some people were talking about that. So.
I'm getting to that in the comments.
Oh, are you now?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
This is from Eduardo Gonzalez. What do you guys think needs to change defensively? That's a good question. We've been talking about this all summer, kind of.
Yeah.
That things just need to tighten up a little bit more.
A little bit. A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
The Sharks kind of, I don't know when it was before Karlsson was here. They kind of changed, even more so once Karlsson got traded last year. They changed their, I want to say, mindset or their game plan to be super aggressive out of the back.
Yeah.
And I think what they're kind of going, or they're gambling on, is that the odds are in your favor. Like, obviously you're hitting the home run ball in a way, if that's a good metaphor for this, but you're going for a home run, so you're either going to get struck out or you're going to hit the home run. And we're seeing Burns and Karlsson taking a lot of chances and getting the puck out, and they're getting burns. Yeah, they're not going to be perfect, but that's kind of like their mindset is they would rather be on the more aggressive side than to be a turtle in kind of team that is shut down defensively and then not score that many goals.
And a perfect example of that is the Burns breakout pass to LeBanc tonight, right? He passed it through an Ottawa player's. There's a gap between his skates and his stick, and he fired it between that gap, right? So that could have very easily been picked off. Now the funny thing is, he makes that pass, LeBanc scores that goal, and everyone's going, "Man, what an amazing pass, amazing vision by Brent Burns." If that player sticks his foot out just another foot or so, or pulls his stick in just about a foot, that puck gets picked, and everyone goes, "Burns sucks," blah blah blah, right? You know,
put Burns back at forward.
Exactly.
Trade Burns.
Yeah. So it is. It's a game of inches. It
Right.
really is. You know, and it's not just whether you win or lose, but how everybody perceives you.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that one little thing that could have gone wrong, and if he made it through. If he didn't make it through, man, the amount of people would be just burying him right now, right?
And this kind of, I would say this goes hand in hand with their philosophy on goaltending and defense,
Okay.
right? So, because there's some questions about, is there a possibility of the Sharks trading for a goalie this season from Jaron Adams? I'll tell you right now, no. But the philosophy on that side, which is kind of similar, is look at Montreal. We just played Montreal. They have the highest paid goaltender in the world. He's making $10.5 million, I think.
Something like, well, I don't know.
I think it's over 10. But anyway, highest paid, Carey Price, one of the best. The Sharks beat him, but one of the best goalies in the world, if not the best, on a bad team because they can't afford defensemen because they're spending more money on their goaltending. Now, what's better to have, goaltending or defense? Well, if you spend all that money on your goaltender and he gets hurt, which has happened to Carey Price, season's done.
Yeah.
You're not going to go anywhere. You're not making playoffs. One guy gets hurt. You're pinning a lot on one guy. Now you spend the money on defense and you get a slightly above average goaltender in terms of numbers, like being above the league average kind of thing. He's not a superstar. He's never going to make the All-Star team, which I think he did.
Jones?
Didn't he make it 1 year? He did?
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. But
It's 2016?
but my point is, you're spending more money on the blue line than you are on your goaltender.
Yeah.
Because the thinking is that, there's a couple more guys in there. One of those guys gets hurt, it doesn't cripple your whole team.
Sure.
It's a kind of an insurance policy in a way. It kind of spreads it out. It's just a different way of doing things. Not every team is built the same way, and that's the way the Sharks are doing theirs. There's some other teams that are doing the same thing where they spend more money on the blue line than they do on their goaltending. But anyway, that's kind of where they are, and they're kind of married to Jones because he's got another 4 seasons left, right? So the last thing I'll say about goaltending, the only thing that I can see a change is it won't be Aaron Dell. It'll be somebody else. Aaron Dell's contract is done after this season. Maybe next year they go after a semi-veteran or someone who could be kind of a 1A, 1B situation. Because Martin Jones does play better when his backup is playing better. And right now Aaron Dell is not consistently playing better than him.
So, and again, I look at the stats from last season, and both Martin Jones and Aaron Dell had career worsts in numbers, right? And you go look at that and you go, well, is it the goaltending or is it the defense? To me, it made more sense that it was the defense. Now, what you just said was Martin Jones plays better when his backup plays better. Is it the case that the backup is pushing Jones, or is it the case that the defense was better? And therefore, both of them have better numbers, right? So, again, this is where, it's a perception thing, and the fans' perception of it. Is it the goalie? Is it the system in front of him? I think a lot of it has to do with the system in front of him, right? I think if the system in front favors one goaltender, it's probably going to favor the other one too. So, it could just be that, not so much the guy that you throw in the net. And that's where, again, I kind of agree with you, right? Where if we had a Carey Price in this team, first of all, we wouldn't have an Erik Karlsson. We probably couldn't afford to have paid, like an Evander Kane. Any of these other guys that are up for contracts, forget it, they're gone. Just same way of Joe Pavelski, right? So I'm with you there, where I just feel like, if you can have your system in place and you play that the right way, then you don't really need to have like the top tier, most elite goaltender in the league, and then have everyone else on your team suffer in terms of their skill level because you can't afford anybody that's top tier. So that's kind of how I see it. I think Aaron and I kind of agree on that one. But I don't know. I just don't. I don't think in terms of goaltending, I don't think you're going to see anything happen with Martin Jones. I think there was a question about what needs to change on defense. They need to play defense. Now, when they focus hard on being really good defensively, aka the penalty kill, they're down a man. They have to play good defensively. They got no other choice, right? The PK is number 1 in the league, 92 point whatever percent. It's something ridiculous, right? So when they have that mindset, when they're focusing on just not allowing the puck through, they do a phenomenal job. For some reason on 5-on-5, that goes out the window, and I think a lot of it has to do, again, with that high risk, high reward style of play that we have 2 guys on our team, Burns, Carlson, who play that style. So no matter what, unless you've got, your third line, or your third pairing, which is Ferraro and Heat, unless they're out there, you're probably not getting that constant, high risk attack coming, right? So when you've got the other 2 guys on the ice, and they're out there for the majority of the time, yeah, you're probably going to see a lot more of that run and gun style. And then if it gets turned over, yeah, they're coming back at you. That's why he had like a -4 tonight, right? Mm-hmm. Because he's out there a lot.
Both
and
Dylan and Carlson.
Dylan and Carlson. Yeah. So he's out there a lot. He's trying these high risk plays a lot. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. When they work, it's beautiful. Right? Just like we said with Burns. When he makes that pass, it's beautiful. If it gets picked off, he's the GOAT,
so
right?
Even when it doesn't work, it's still beautiful sometimes.
Yeah.
Like Carlson makes amazing plays at the blue line usually, and the Sharks just can't finish it.
Yeah.
Can't bury it, right?
Yeah.
And they do, you're like, wow, that's going to be on highlights everywhere. And then they don't finish, you're like, oh, well, throw it in the bin.
There you go. So, again, that's where I think what needs to change on defense. Not necessarily a change in how they approach getting the offense going, but just that fail-safe of, look, it is high risk, so you need to have your partner not quite up as high, maybe just pulling back just a little bit more, so that you're not constantly on this odd man break, or if you are, the guy's in a good position and set and ready to rock. I think it's just maybe a communication between the 2 defensive partners. I'm going to try something here, so back me up, essentially, right? That's kind of what I think maybe needs to happen on the defensive side. But go
ahead. Let's see. This is from This name doesn't make sense. So, hi guys, missed today's game, but just want to know your thoughts on hard hits and fights. Haven't seen any from the Sharks lady. Any insight on that? HNNB011000101.
Dogface. Just call him Dogface.
Well, the Sharks are a possession-style team, less than a dump and chase. When you're more talking about the strategy, so their strategy essentially is, instead of when they get to the blue line of the other team, dump and chase is when you dump the puck in and you chase it. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory.
Right.
That's kind of how the Sharks used to play that way when not Ron Wilson, the coach, who was the Kings coach after
Daryl Sutter.
Daryl Sutter loves the dump and chase because that's the kind of player he was when he was a player. So interesting how that works, huh? Yeah. Right. So the Sharks used to play that way. A lot of teams that don't have a lot of skill, kind of that's what their go-to is, because they don't have enough skill to possess the puck, and it's very hard to do. There's a little space. So the Sharks are more possession style, and that means like when they enter the zone, they try and keep possession of the puck. So they don't dump it in, they don't play it into space. They pass it on tape to the other guy, to their own teammate, or just do what Carlson does and skate around the guy. So because of that, if you look at Sharks' position numbers, usually they're a little bit higher than the other team. That's not completely always the case, but that also means that they are going to get hit more than they are going to hit. Plus, the Sharks aren't really built to be hitting anymore. They don't have many guys on their team. Dylan, Kane, Meyer, like Couture doesn't really hit. Yeah. Marlowe doesn't really hit. Like they'll throw a hit every now and then, but they're not throwing their bodies around. So
yeah,
anyway,
the only other ones that are defensemen, Prout and Shimmick, and they're out right now.
And fighting is kind of gone league wide, and not completely, but it's just you don't see many fights anymore.
No.
Maybe you see a fight if you're playing like Vegas, right? And you play them back to back to back. To start off the season, you're going to hate each other. But other than that, you don't really see fights as much anymore. There's no more goons on the team. It's just a different game than it was 20 years ago. So, I don't know. Any other thoughts on that? On why the Sharks don't hit or fight anymore?
Well, no, okay. So, yeah, they don't hit because, again, like you said, they're not built for that, right? So some teams are. Some teams, like, we saw Vegas, they come out hitting all the time, right? I mean, Reeves and Tuck and those guys. Although Tuck's not there anymore, is he?
Tuck?
I think
No,
Tuck
he's still in there.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he was hurt.
For some reason, I thought he got traded. But anyway, I mean, there are some teams that are out there, and they're built for that, right? The Sharks are just not one of those teams. So that's why we don't do it as much. Now, do you need to do it as much? I mean, I think in some cases, yes. I think that when you've got a guy who's playing with the puck near the boards and he's looking up for someone to pass to and you're getting close to him and he fires the puck off, instead of swinging your stick out trying to hope and pray that you just happen to tap that puck, just nail the guy.
Yeah.
And I said this in the Colorado series last season, right? In the playoffs.
Makar.
I said, you got to hit this kid,
Yeah.
Cale Makar. You got to hit him. I don't care. It's not about trying to injure him or anything like that. We don't want to see injuries, but you got to slow the kid down. You got to hurt his confidence. You got to make him tired. You got to make him bruised just a little bit, right? You just get him to the point where he's got to get in that ice bath afterwards, because his body's aching, right? You gotta like finish your hits. And I think the Colorado series could have went a different way. Not so close. I think the Sharks could have won that one a little bit more handily had they finished their checks. So I would like to see them doing that more often. Now, there was the Hurdle line tonight. That's Hurdle, Kane, and Meyer. Now, Hurdle doesn't really throw hits, but he's a big dude. And there's something to be said about being physical. That doesn't necessarily mean hitting, right? You have to be extremely physical if you want to get the puck away from Tomas Hurdle. He puck protects so well. And we've seen him knock Malkin on his butt by using his butt, right? So, and then there's Meyer. I mean, when Meyer gets that train chugging,
he can hit.
He can hit.
He
that
throws
boy,
his
yeah,
body around.
yeah, for sure. And then of course Evander Kane, he's built for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that line, I was looking at it, I was looking at that line. I'm going, okay, we got Hurdle, Hurdle, Meyer, and Kane, and I'm going, man, that's like the beef line, And then I look at the first line, which was Couture, LeBanc, Marlin. I'm like, where's the beef line? Because there's nobody there that's going to be physical at all, right? But no, I kind of like that composition. I think they might change it up a little bit. But in terms of hitting, I would just like to see guys finish the checks when they have the opportunities to. I don't think they need to go out looking for hits. So that's kind of my take on it. I wouldn't put too much stock in the amount of hits that you see after a game in the box scores. Go ahead.
Going back to Scott Kemp, he said it's extremely upsetting watching a stacked team do so poorly in the standings.
Agreed.
I agree. I'm still not too worried yet. I'm not hitting the panic button yet. Give me another month. The end of November, I think, it'll be a little bit more panicky. But even then, and I hate saying it, look at St. Louis last year.
I know. St.
Louis had, when they started off the year, on paper, everyone said this is a strong team. They're going to contend for the Cup, probably in the Western Conference Finals, blah, blah, blah. And they came out the gates, were terrible. So they were bad through until January. They were at the bottom of the league, I think.
But then they fired their head coach and they turned it all around.
Because that happens and works all the time. Don't expect that to
happen. Put Shortridge in.
Yeah. I mean, going back to another comment earlier, where is this?
Gosh.
4 paws up for hockey.
Yeah.
I thought we needed a goalie more than anything else, even more urgently than EK65. Do you guys think we have at least one goalie who is Cup caliber? Do you think Bennington was considered Cup caliber goalie halfway through last year before he even started? No. He was in the... Was he even the ECHL? I don't even think he was in the AHL.
No, I don't remember.
I don't know. We're not going to find a goalie like that. That's not going to happen. There's not some magic goalie that's hidden in the cupboards of the Sharks prospects that's going to come up and just storm the league and take over and win a cup. Martin Jones has been there before. He was 2 wins away from winning a cup. 3 years ago now? 4 years ago now? Last year he was 2 wins away from going to the finals again.
Yeah.
So Jones, I'm fine with Jones. Get it to the playoffs, and Jones is going to give you a very good chance of getting all the way to the finals and hopefully winning it.
The funny thing is we look at what people are saying on socials and saying gosh, Carlson again, he gets burned, and Burns made a bad pass, or he got his pocket picked again. He's horrible. Whatever else. Well, if you honestly believe that the defensemen are that bad in so many different ways, and they're the problem in terms of turning the puck over and why it's come back the other way, then why are we still blaming the goalie, right? I understand the goalie's got to make a big save now and then, but Martin Jones has made a lot of really big saves throughout this season.
I think he's already looked better this year than he did last year. sharper. I think he looks sharper. He's making bigger saves, I think. I think he did a lot of work on breakaways and odd man breaks because he knew that's
what we're giving up.
Exactly, and that's what they gave up last year a lot, and he was not doing so well in the beginning. So I think he's doing better in terms of that, and keeping he seems to always keep the Sharks within striking distance of a game when they're losing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of a goaltender who, instead of having a good solid system in front of them where guys are actually playing defense, like for instance, on the PK. On the PK, does anyone have a problem with Martin Jones or Aaron Dell? No one's got a problem with them during the PK. Why? Because the guys in front of them are focused on playing defense. And they're keeping the puck to the outside. And when the rebound comes in, they clear it out, right? They showed, I think Hannon did a breakdown of their defensive play when they're on a 5-on-4 and a 5-on-3. There's a nice diamond right here in the 5-on-3. We got a nice triangle. Even though they get the shot off from the slot, that triangle is collapsed. It gets collapsed down real fast. So when they're focused on playing defense and they are trying to play good defensively, they do a really good job. It's just that on 5-on-5, you've got this mentality of, okay, let's pound it and let's move this puck up the rink, right? And so in trying to do that, sometimes it doesn't work out and it comes back the other way. So again, I don't think that it's all the goaltending, because if you look at the PK, when they're playing solid in front of them, the goaltending's fine. It's these 5-on-5 chances where they're bobbling the puck, they're giving it up, it gets turned back around.
It's mental.
That's where we're starting having
mental mistakes.
That's where we're having these problems.
Right.
And this again, where people are going to flag me for it or flame me for it, whatever you want to say. But I don't think the problem lies in the goaltending, and I don't think if you put Carey Price in there, he'd be doing so much better that we'd be that much higher up in the standings, right? I don't see that. We might have an extra win or two maybe, but I just don't see it. I think it's the guys in front of him have to say, okay, you know what? We need to take care of our end first. Once we take care of our own zone, fine, then we can try to break the puck up the right way. But we really need to take care of our own end, and if we can do that, look, you could beat a team by outscoring them. We're not scoring enough goals right now to outscore anybody. Okay, our forward core isn't as deep as it was last season. So the way that we should be focusing on right now is taking care of our zone defensively, getting the puck back first. Don't let them get those shots on goal. Don't let them have those high quality danger chances or high danger chances, the high quality ones. Get the puck back first. The name of the game is possession.
Yeah,
that's why they do it in 3-on-3. And if you did the same thing in 5-on-5 without the stupid circling back all the time.
Watching that overtime game was so frustrating. Not just for how it ended, but it's boring now. I feel like the way the NHL was like, let's do 3-on-3 because it's more exciting. It's end-to-end action. And teams like the Sharks ruined it because they just keep possession. Yeah. Like, do you remember seeing, I don't know if anyone's done it this year or Edmonton even been in an overtime game yet, but what they basically do, teams would just get possession and wait till McDavid makes a line change and then press forward. Did you see that last year?
Seriously?
Yeah, they kept possession in their own end. And then as soon as McDavid made a line change, they went for it.
Yeah.
Because they knew if McDavid got the puck, if there was a turnover,
it's over.
It's done. So they would just wait him out. It's awful. It's just like, it only took a matter of time before coaches ruined it. Yeah. Right? Just like when there was the lockout in 03 or 04, 05, and they come back and scoring was the best it's ever been. It was only a matter of time before coaches would figure out they couldn't clog the neutral zone as much anymore, and they couldn't clutch and grab, but they're going to figure out how to clog up something so they're not giving up as many goals.
All right, so let's theoretically screw up 3-on-3 overtime just a little bit more. Would you implement a shot clock?
No, that's too much.
I wouldn't either.
No. I don't know. I don't know how you change
that's
it.
Stupid.
There's nothing you can really do.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. There's nothing you can do. But you know what? The thing that is exciting about the 3-on-3, though, is that when you do have a tired group out there, then the attack really happens, right? And then it's kind of exciting because now you've got a tired group against a fresh group.
And it's the far benches, too.
Yeah, then the action kind of picks up. If they get the puck back, okay, then everybody makes their changes and you have to wait a little while. But then once you tire out one group and you get a fresh line back on, then it's that action again. But I agree, it's screwed up right now. Yeah.
Andy Mann summed up exactly what you had said earlier about the team. What's wrong? The goaltending, he just sounds better than what you said.
Oh, wow.
The goaltending isn't an issue this year like it was last year. I think he meant to say was.
Okay.
There's a much larger issues with collective team defense, protecting the puck, breaking out, and bad turnovers than goaltending.
Yeah.
Fully agree.
So
there's bigger mistakes happening than the goal. Like you said, fixing the goaltending is in getting a better goalie isn't going to fix the problem. That's what you just said earlier. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Andy, if you live in San Jose, and because I'm going to be gone every once in a while for like my kids' tournaments, if you need to sit in, because you and I have the same, we're here right now, you and me. So let us know if you're in San Jose. Oh, yeah, not that close. Anyway, so we got any other comments or questions? Or?
Yeah, a couple more.
And thank you, Andy, by the way. That's a good one.
Real quick, since we're kind of a little bit more halfway, let's do a roll call. Where are you watching? How you found us? Where did it go?
Perfect segue, because I just asked Andy where he's coming from.
Right. Jack Frost. Have y'all seen Mario Ferraro's YouTube channel? This week.
We did.
Yeah, we did. Somebody commented, I believe, on our last video about it, and we're like, what? And so they sent the link, and we checked it out. He does reviews and a couple other random stuff, basically.
He's kind of a little bit of a tech nerd.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Yeah.
So we're going to, I don't know if we can get him on the show, but I think it would be really cool to get him on the show.
I would love to get him on the show.
I think he would be excited to come on the show a little bit.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe that'd be cool. As a fellow YouTuber. Not because he's meeting Aaron and Paul, guys. No. Okay, no. Not because of that.
Who?
Yeah.
Are you guys Finnish?
Swedish. Swiss.
Sorry.
Whatever.
I always mess that up.
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, are you kidding me? I would love to get him on this thing.
Are you mic'd up, Jake? Can they hear you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they can. All right. No, would love to. I mean, he's, but yeah, he's doing like a review on like Apple's like what do you call it? The earpod things. What are those called? Just pods. I don't know. I don't have those earbuds. Whatever those things are. Yeah.
AirPods.
There you go.
I'm not.
I'm out of the loop. I don't know, guys. So he was doing a review on that. He did a review on like Call of Duty for mobile or something like that, which is kind of weird. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is he's recent. Like as of a couple days ago is when he did one. So he's still doing them. So which is it's a busy kid.
Maybe we'll be a recommended video.
Yeah. Here you go.
Probably not. Let me see. You got there. Sorry. What happened to Ferraro tonight? I heard he got hurt.
I heard he went down the tunnel too. I didn't see what happened. Unfortunately,
maybe at that point they were already. Was it towards the end of the game? Maybe they were just precautionary, saving him for Boston. Maybe.
Hopefully.
I don't know. There was news that Shimmick is going to be reassigned to the Barracuda for a rehab assignment. So conditioning assignment. Sorry. So he's going to be probably, I'd say, within a week. I think next week we'll see him get called up to the Sharks. I'd say get him 2-3 games of the Barracuda, and then kind of what I had been saying all along, that he'd be back and beginning of November after a stint with the Barracuda.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Sharks need confidence. They're lacking confidence right now. I think so. And don't forget, last year they started off almost similarly. They went into this road trip. There was this road trip where they're hitting all the Canadian teams, and after or before? I think it was before the Montreal game.
It was right after the Ottawa game and before the Montreal game, if I remember correctly.
They had a team meeting with Doug Wilson. On my way over here, they replayed. They were actually interviewing Doug Wilson on the NHL Network, and they talked about it a little bit. And he kind of voiced the same thing. They're okay. He's not too worried about it. They're going to be gelling and getting everything back together. So, anyway, it was a good listen, and it reminded me about last year. Like, oh yeah, they kind of started the same. And
well, it was the same, right? They didn't come out of the gate great, just like this season. They didn't come out of the gate great. Last season it was Ottawa first, then Montreal. This season it was Montreal first, and then Toronto, and then Ottawa. But in both times the Ottawa game was a not so great game. It was 6-2 loss the first season, a 5-2 loss today. So hopefully they have another team meeting after this one today, and then all of a sudden, boom, we're taking off, right? So
what do you think about the Boston game? You think they're going to come out and?
I think they're going to be tired. I honestly do. Because think about it. Okay, we just got done saying it was 3 games in 4 nights and 4 games in 6 nights.
It's also the last game on the trip, and then they get a little bit of a break, so they could just be throwing it all out there, kind of.
Yeah, they could, but I don't know if they have anything left to throw out there. Look at this. Today's Sunday. They're going to play Tuesday, right?
Not till Friday.
Okay, but they're going to play Tuesday.
A little bit of a break.
Yeah. So that means not only 4 games in 6 nights. Now it's 5 games in 8 nights. 5 games in 8 nights. And you're going to be playing Boston. This is the team that went to the finals. This is a team that throws the body. They're a heavy team. Even a little Brad Marchand, he likes throwing it around too. So, I mean, this is not, you talked about Toronto being a scheduled loss. To me, this one's going to be hard to overcome.
It's 5 games in 11 nights. Or I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
6 games.
6 games.
6 games? 1,
5.
2, 3, 4, 5. 6 games in 11 nights.
What's 6 games in 11 nights?
The road trip. The whole road trip.
Yeah, but I'm just saying just the last, what do you call it?
Yeah.
The last few, yeah. It'll be 5 games in 8 nights.
Right.
That's tough.
That's brutal.
In the course of a week and a day, you had 3 days off. You were still traveling. You still maybe had a practice here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot going on, so that's going to be tough. Boston game, the Boston game is going to be tough. Real tough. I hope they come out and just throw everything they have at it, but I don't know if they're going to have much in the tank left to give.
Yeah.
Because it's in 2 days, right? They're traveling there right now, probably.
Oh, they're probably already there.
Or they might already be there. Then they get 1 day, and then they play. And it's, geez, man, it's tough.
All right, roll call real quick. Sarah's in Sacramento. Lundy's in Minnesota.
I already did all these.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, they're on the screen.
All right, fine. They're already there. Sorry. He got hit down low when he was bent over. I'm guessing that was Ferraro.
Okay, yeah.
That's probably. Šimić will not help this team.
No.
I disagree.
No, I disagree.
I think he's going to help, assuming he comes back like he played before he got hurt last year. I think he'll, and I'm not saying he's the answer either, but he'll help solidify that defense a little bit in the back end.
I think anytime you add a guy whose main focus is playing well defensively to a team whose problem is they don't play well defensively, at least on a 5-on-5 situation, I think he can only help this team. If you're telling me that you think that he is not the answer in terms of being better than at least Tim Heed or Mario Ferraro, maybe Ferraro has been really good more offensively, I would say, though. He's impressed me more offensively, and his defensive play has been pretty good. But if Šimić comes back and is anything like his former self, I'll take him back all day long. No problems here. So, again, not the answer, not the number one thing that we're missing, not the savior of the San Jose Sharks, but certainly a good piece to the puzzle, and I think he can only help us. Again, assuming he comes back and is anything close to what he was.
Noah Claxton, do you guys think we need forward help, or is it solely we need to be better and work through the slump? I don't think they're going to be able to get anybody without giving up something big. So I think this roster is what we got at this point. I think they just need to keep working through it and get some chemistry going. And, of course, winning solves all. So you get a little streak going of 3-4 game win streak. Now all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, this is the team that we've been waiting for and expected, and everything is fine. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, it's,
just
again,
keep working.
It's a what have you done for me lately kind of thing, right?
Totally.
So lately the Sharks haven't, they looked okay after like the first 4 games where they lost and then looked pretty good. It was like 3-1-1 or something like that. And then maybe it's fallen off a little bit since then. So, if you want to look at it like a graph, like a trajectory, right, it was kind of low, and then we're up, and then we're kind of coming back down. Hopefully we're coming right back up again. Who knows? But, getting guys back from injury is only going to help us out. Whether you like Dalton Prout or not, is he a better option than Tim Heed at this point? Yeah, probably. Is he a guy that's going to go in there and at least lay the body where we'd like to see him, finish those checks, those things that I just got done talking about a little while ago? He's going to do that. So he's going to be a lot more imposing defensively. Now, he may not skate as well as Tim Heed, but Tim Heed's not getting much ice time anyway. So I think you'll have a more imposing force back there with a Dalton Prout than you would with the Tim Heed. With Šimić coming back, once he's out of the Barracuda and back on the roster, again, we do feel that Ferraro's going to end up getting moved down anyway, just because of cap and contracts and that whole thing. So no fault of his, but he'll probably end up playing with the Barracuda just because Šimić taking his spot. Now, I do think that when you add Šimić and Prout to that lineup, and you take Ferraro and Heed out, you're getting a whole lot more physically, like whole lot more. Yeah, more beef. You get a lot more beef. And I don't know. I just think that's kind of what we need. We need people that. I mean, you remember Šimić standing people up at the blue line? Did you guys forget that? Because I remember when anybody tried to cut past him, and he would just plow them into the boards, like staple them to the boards. So again, if we get anything close to that, I'm happy. So. Do we need forward help? Yes, we do need forward help. Are we going to get it? Probably not. like Aaron just said, you're going to have to give something up to get. And I don't think we have a whole lot to give. Anything that we're going to be able to give from our current roster is a piece that we need. Someone was saying, why don't you give up Heed, Dell, and
The scraps.
yeah, it was basically there's somebody else, I can't remember who it was, but yeah, scraps for like a top 9 winger. And I'm like, okay, maybe you could get like a top 9 winger from a team that's desperate.
There's no more Joe Thornton trades.
Yeah. Well, even then,
that was scraps.
The guys you're talking about trading, just Heed and Dell, both on 1-year contracts. So it's not like you're trading somebody, like Ottawa Senators. It's not like they're going to take somebody from any of those, and then they could just say, well, I don't want to play with the Senators, right? So I'm not going to re-sign with you. So then why would they do that, right? Doesn't make any sense. So you'd want to get like an RFA or draft picks, something that is yours for a long time that you can develop, grow into a better player, whatever, turn into a different asset. You wouldn't take a guy whose contract is going to expire. So the whole thing just doesn't seem to make sense to me. But yeah, do we need forward? I would kind of lean towards I think an extra forward would be awesome right now, but it's just not going to happen. So the only other thing that we have is our guys getting healthy on defense and buying into the defensive system, kind of limiting the amount of risk in the risk reward. I hate saying that with Karlsson and Burns, but because that's the style of game that they play and that's what's made them successful. These guys have won Norris trophies. They're not doing anything wrong out there, right? They're obviously doing a few things wrong right now because we're not keeping the puck out of our net. But that's the style of play that they have that's been successful for them. So I think it's just going to come down to them playing a little bit better defensively, their partners understanding better that they are higher risk players and that they need to kind of back them up a little bit more. And that the forwards need to come back and help out a little bit too. I mean, we saw, some of that controller disconnect earlier in the season with Kevin LeBanc tonight. He had a weird one where he and I think it was Vlasic were both on the boards with the player that had the puck, and it gets thrown to the middle, and I can't remember who it was now. He just basically out muscled Karlsson for the goal, and it's like, well, if LeBanc's not up on the boards behind the player where he can't really do anything anyway, maybe he cuts towards the middle and takes away a pass. Just systems, right? I think if we do a better job on our defensive systems, I think we're going to be fine. So that's where the focus needs to be, in my opinion.
Going back a little ways, 4 paws up for hockey again.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that I do not care if we lose all of it. I'm so glad to have my Patty and Jumbo is God together. Go Sharks. Sharks need confidence, and Sharks fans need faith in their team success and other teams starting to flop. I think next week, I'm going to cover a Pretenders episode. I think it's next week because it'll be into November. Yeah. So next week, I'll go through, let's just keep it to the Pacific Division at least, and I'll say kind of what I did last year, predict, right now, Edmonton's winning the division, right? And I'll tell you right now in the standings, it's Edmonton, Vegas, Anaheim, Calgary, Arizona, Vancouver, San Jose, LA. That's the order. Anaheim's not going to be up there. I don't even think Edmonton's going to be in the top 3.
Wasn't Anaheim like 6-1?
Anaheim was winning the division last year. We did it.
But this season wasn't Anaheim like 6-1 or something like that
to start off the season?
Yeah, I thought they were like 6-1. What's the record now?
7-6.
What have you done for me lately? You've lost. Thank you, Jay, for the extreme close-up, right? So that's what he means by contenders and pretenders. There's certain teams that are taking advantage of other teams trying out new systems, getting used to new players, doing whatever, and they just go out there and they win a few games, and that's great. And then reality hits.
I mean, we're just waiting for Gibson to.
We're just waiting for him to get hurt. You're right. I hope John Gibson does not get hurt.
Anaheim is just not that. Anyway, we'll get to that next week. So be sure to tune in to that episode for sure. Casa de Pescado, guys. I went to the tank a week ago. That is to your food guide. I got the giant taco, and let me say this: there are no regrets,
dude. Did he eat the whole thing?
Yeah. Did you eat the whole thing by yourself? Please let me know.
Yeah.
Because we looked at that thing and we were like, huh. The two of us had a hard time eating it.
I looked at it and I'm like, I have to get that, but you have to help me. So, but this thing is gigantic.
It's
massive.
Enormous.
It's like
it was bigger than my computer.
It's like this.
My computer's not
huge.
that big, but
yeah, no, it's just this massive monstrosity of meat and cheese and lettuce and everything good in life.
Yeah.
So if you're very hungry, go grab one.
People are thinking. Let's see. I'll read a couple comments here.
Okay.
And then we will comment. If the Sharks are still struggling after the next 8 games, they may have to start considering getting some draft picks for Brendan Dillon. 3 wins out of playoffs. Can't keep track per night. And from Anthony Sanchez, let's face it, everybody, the Sharks will not make playoffs. Last year, all the Pacific was a dumpster fire. This year, the Pacific teams are taking a huge leap ahead of the Sharks. No.
No.
I'm going to get to it next week. But I still don't think Edmonton's as strong as what they are right now, right now. I mean, it's great. It's finally great to see them winning after accumulating so many first overall picks over the last 15 years. It's just insane. So good for them, but I don't think it's going to last. I don't think they are better than they were last year, but I don't think they are a team that's going to stay at the top like they are.
Okay. Do you think they're a wild card team? Do you think they're a top 3 in the division team?
I think it's going to be between Edmonton, and at least in the Pacific Division, Edmonton and Arizona battling it out for the bubble team.
Edmonton and Arizona. Wow. Okay. And you think it's going to be, what, Vegas, San Jose?
Calgary. Again.
Anaheim, of course.
Quack, quack. Ducks suck.
Okay, so, yeah, okay, good. I mean, what are we answering there? He says, let's face it, they're not going to be a playoff team. I'm with you. I disagree on that one.
There's kind of the doom and gloom coming out right now. I think, from multiple, not just one person. There's a couple people in here. That
hey, look. If the playoffs started today, yes, I agree. They're not a playoff team, right? Because they're out of the standings. But no, you guys, how many games? 12? 12 games in. That seems like we're getting pretty deep now, right? We're starting to get in there. We're not quite that deep in there, trust me. Okay, there's plenty of games to go before we get to a point where we kind of look at them and go, okay, now we really have to panic. You know what I think a lot of this is too, by the way? I was thinking about this today. I think a lot of folks maybe are also NFL fans. And there's
some Niners
17 games, right?
And the Niners are 7-0 right now.
Not even that, but yes.
No, but another Bay Area team. They're like, oh, they're finally putting it all together, and they're just dominating right now.
Well, okay, we come off of a few years where the Giants won like a lot.
Right.
Then we come off a few years where Golden State wins a lot.
Right.
Now the Niners are kind of looking really good this season, right? But that wasn't my point. My point was, if you're a fan of like NFL and they play how many games? 17 games. So there's 82 games for
16 games, but
16 games. There's 82 games though for hockey, right? So you do the math. Maybe it's like what, 5 or so games, 5 times as many games in the NHL as you would see in the NFL. Well, if in an NFL series or in a season, when you lose 1 game or 2 games, yeah, it feels pretty bad, right? Because that's the equivalent of losing like 5 to 10 games in the NHL, right?
But it's still, I think, a little easier for NFL to be like, oh, you lost to this team that's terrible.
Okay.
And you're probably going to lose to these teams that are good. So when you lose to that terrible team, you go, oh, they don't have a chance to make playoffs. Like early on, you kind of know. It's still different.
Okay.
I think the NHL has more parity than the NFL does.
Yeah, totally.
So nobody's really out of it. Even at the trade deadline, there's a lot of teams that aren't out of it. That won't make playoffs, but they don't know and they can't sell off their assets.
And that's kind of my point is that, we may, even if you lose like 4 games straight like we did at the very beginning of the season, it's not quite like losing 4 games straight in football, right? You lose 4 games in football, you just throw your season out the window right away. In hockey, there's so many other games to be played that you can catch right back up in the standings. Now, like you said, there's a lot of parity in the league. So if you lose to a team like Ottawa, does that automatically mean you're worse than Ottawa? No, it just means you had a night where Ottawa beat you. I think if you go to a 7-game series, if you can honestly sit there and tell me in a 7-game series we lose to Ottawa, do you think that? Because I don't think that. I mean, put it that way, against any team in the league, okay? Look at any of these other teams in the league. Would we lose a 7-game series to this team? If you can say, yes, for sure we would lose to that team, maybe like a Tampa Bay or something, right? If you could say, yes, for sure we would lose to that, okay, fine. But a lot of these other teams, Calgary, well, it'd be close. So you don't just write that one off, right? If you're saying that about Calgary and you think Calgary's going to be one of the top teams in the division, then this is a playoff team. I think they're a good enough team that's going to make it, because a lot of people are panicked about that. But my point is, don't write them off just because they've lost a handful of games at the very beginning. They've won some, lost some, and our record isn't very good. Give it more time before you really start casting judgment. But really what it comes down to is, again, trade deadline. By the time the trade deadline runs around, you really know who's in and who's not, because the sellers are selling.
There's different markers, right? American Thanksgiving, which is coming up in another month. And then you have, I'd say All-Star Game is another break. where you kind of
Yeah.
reassess where you are.
Yeah.
Then the trade deadline, which is about a month, I think, after the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And then you have about a month and a half left of the actual season, and then playoffs. So, obviously, you need to know where you are before the trade deadline in order to sell off your assets
Yeah.
and get some stuff coming in.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Sharks are going to be that team. I don't think they're going to be one selling.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I think we've seen flashes of brilliance coming out of them this season already.
Yeah.
We've seen them play great. We've seen them play a whole game. They just need more of that. And I also think Pete DeBoer has we've heard over and over and over from multiple different sources, Pete DeBoer has a very good pulse on his team and knows what the players need. And don't forget, they lost a lot of forwards last year. There's a lot of chemistry that has changed and is gone. So they're still trying to figure that out in a way, I guess.
On the topic of Brendan Dillon and trading him for picks, that thing that came up earlier, I think the only way you see that is if Šimić comes back and is like perfectly healthy, right? And Ferraro is able to play the full rest of the season. If you're able to get both of those guys in your lineup, I know he's shaking his head already.
Yeah,
if you're able to get both of those guys in your lineup for the rest of the season without the fatigue affecting Ferraro and without Šimić kind of relapsing or anything like that, then sure. Go ahead and you can make that trade for Dillon trade Dillon to get, you know, that winger piece that you think you need to solidify this team. But as of right now, I don't really see that happening. So I just wanted to bring that one back up again. I don't know if I addressed that last time.
Right. If the Sharks continue to struggle after Christmas, is it time to become sellers? Well, yeah. Like I said, this is kind of going before I just talked, but
Christmas, that's isn't that All-Star break is kind of like
All-Star is
January?
like the end of January.
The end of January, okay.
And then the trade deadline is usually the end of February or sometimes early March. I didn't look it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if they're struggling through Christmas and they're still out of a playoff spot, because St. Louis won last year, being in dead last, teams are still not going to sell until they get closer to the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to just start giving up and be like, forget this. We're just going to start trading anyone that is done with their contracts, all the veterans and everything. So, no, I still don't think, even if they were playing as terribly as they are and continue that through December, I don't think they'd be selling still.
And you're also not going to see a Erik Karlsson or a Brent Burns or one of those guys get traded, in case anyone was curious about that. That's not going to happen. Those guys will be with the team longer term. If they sell anybody off, it'll be guys with one-year contracts like Dillon, like Dell, like Heath, like whoever, right? Even a Prout has a one-year contract. So those are the guys that they'd be shipping off. The big names that they've got to longer-term contracts, those guys would be sticking around. And, again, it wouldn't even necessarily be a bad thing to take 1 year off, if you will. Again, the cap goes up. There's free agents available. We can pay our guys, when their contracts are up to come back up again. Basically, we'll have the money to pay them. Free agency, like I said, those guys, you'll be able to attract some people. I mean, how many guys would love to play on a San Jose Sharks team featuring guys like Couture and a Hurdle, and if Joe Thornton's still playing, and then Karlsson and Burns. I mean, there's a whole lot of good that's going on with that team. So. And again, 1 more year of experience for the guys that are a little bit younger. I know people are wondering where the 30-something goal, 60-point, whatever Timo Meier is right now.
There's a lot of
game left. There's a lot of game left, and again, another year, he could go, that much more experience. So who knows?
I want to clarify something. Deuces Shula said, "Stop with St. Louis. It's literally never going to happen again. That's a miracle of a story. You can't bank on those storylines happening to the Sharks."
Point.
I'm not saying that the Sharks are going to be St. Louis. I'm saying every GM in the league is saying, look at St. Louis and what they did last year. They're not going to sell. I don't think any teams are going to be selling assets until either 2 days before the trade deadline or like right around there, because they're just holding on to see, okay, can we do this? Can we get in the playoffs? And some other people, they're not going to the Sharks aren't going to win the division. And I think people think that winning the division means they're going to be a strong team and win it all, right?
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay last year destroyed the league. I think they tied a record with the Red Wings from 94 7
Most
or
points,
something.
yeah.
Most points, most wins, like all these records last year, and they got swept in the first round. Tampa Bay is not as strong as they were last year. They're kind of, and you can tell, I think they're holding back. I think they're trying to hold back during the regular season, not go all out like they were last year, and save it basically for the playoffs. I think they kind of changed their mentality. They don't need to win the division. They don't need to win the President's Trophy. They don't need to be the best because it doesn't matter. I mean, how many President's Trophies winners in the last 10 years have won the Cup? Who knows,
Yeah.
right? Like, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
The Capitals won a President's Trophy and didn't win that year. Yeah.
They lost.
Yeah.
In the
Tampa
first
Bay,
round.
obviously,
Right.
was the most recent example.
Tampa Bay is the first one to get wet.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You never want to be in that record book. I mean, Sharks are in there because they lost as President's Trophy winner.
Yeah.
In the first round, it's just it doesn't matter. You just, like I said, get to the dance and you have a chance.
Get to the dance, you got a chance.
That's it.
Yep.
And the Sharks are going to get to the dance. I don't care if they're a bubble team. I don't care.
Yeah.
They're going to get in. They're going to get in.
Yeah.
And they don't need home ice advantage. You know. So, all right, couple more minutes, and then I think we have some weird audio issues from some people. You got that, Jay?
No.
Okay.
It's still going.
Scott Kemp, Aaron's time to speak up. Turn Paul's mic off for a few minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sure, why not?
I like that.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah.
Okay,
If
cool.
they said it the other way around, I wouldn't have said
No,
it.
it's cool. You go right ahead. I'll be right here.
Sorry. All right, anyway, let's take one last question here. Then we'll sign off and we'll get going. Realistically, who would want Dell? Trade Dilly for Braun. I keep seeing that a lot, actually. People want Braun back. It's like, I don't know. The other thing I saw, which I pulled up before we started the show tonight, is I see a lot of we shouldn't have signed Carlson for so long. Are you mad now because I said that? Or are you just going to be quiet?
No, I'm just chilling. I'm listening.
All right. I saw a lot of we shouldn't have signed Carlson, we should have signed Pavelski. Or kind of people upset that Carlson was signed and Pavelski wasn't, and that the Sharks would not be in the predicament that they're in now, and they would be winning a lot more. So we already looked at this, but Joe Pavelski has, 2 goals and 1 assist in 13 games played. And do you know how much Carlson has? Off the top of your head, do you know?
I thought he had like 8 points in 9 games, but that's been
a goal and 7 assists. He has 8 points in 11 games now. And his average ice time, 25 minutes and 52 seconds. And Pavelski's ice time, 18 minutes, which is pretty good for a forward.
I guess 19.
Yeah, that's pretty good though. It's not 16, it's not 15. He's up there. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Oh, should I bail you out now? Is that
Bail me out?
Yeah, no. What do I think about it? Yeah, right here, buddy. What do I think about it? No, I mean, same thing that we've been saying, right? I think Erik Karlsson's on the ice for a much longer amount of time, and you want your best players on the ice for a longer amount of time. I think Karlsson helps move the puck up to not just your top line guys, but your second, third, fourth line guys. So I don't know. I think there's again the high risk, high reward. You have to deal with that. Is what it is. But those 4 lines are benefiting from an elite playmaker from the blue line. This is like a Joe Thornton-esque player from the blue line. It's going to help everybody else on the forward core out. Now, it may not be coming to fruition right now, and we saw that earlier in last season where it didn't really come right away. People were not able to handle his passes. They were exploding off of their sticks.
They had to get used to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but that's how I feel about
I'm sorry.
that. No. Come on, I'm messing with you. Again, this is a show that's kind of like we've been friends for a long time.
We rib at each other a lot.
Yeah,
so don't worry about
and
it.
you guys are part of this here, so we're just goofing around here. That's all well and good. No worries. But yeah, no, that's what I think about that. I think if you're to re-sign Pavelski, that's the wrong move. How good is Pavelski going to be 5 years from now? Will Pavelski be playing 5 years from now?
No.
Will Karlsson?
Yes.
How good is he going to be 5 years from now?
Still.
Probably about as good.
Yeah.
About as good as he is right now.
He's a good skater, and that goes a long way, I think, in this game.
Certainly does. And again, Joe Thornton's playing at 40 years old. You know why? Thinks the game right. if you're a really good skater like Erik Karlsson and you can think the game the way that he does.
Better example is Patrick Marleau. He
Okay.
can still skate.
Sure.
And he's 40.
Is Marleau going to play in the NHL longer than Thornton is?
I think so.
I think so too.
I think Marleau has at least one more season. I think Thornton's done after this year. I don't want him to be.
Yeah.
I just think that based on the way he's been playing, I think it's more of his body is just is breaking down.
Yeah.
Marleau's is not breaking down as far as I know.
Which is crazy because Marleau's the one with the Ironman streak.
He before there was really like it was kind of a transition time I think when he came into the league of people really working out and focusing on health, both their body and their mental health and all that. I think he was kind of not a pioneer, but he was on the early train of doing that. Yeah. Versus other guys that would show up, with beers on training camp to get into shape, right? That was kind of the old way of thinking. So I think because of that, he's always trained. He's always been ready. He's always been working hard in the summers. And not to say that some other guys don't, but it's just that's who he's been his whole life. Yeah. So I think, and he's been lucky, knock on wood, he hasn't really had many major injuries. And Thornton hadn't either up until 2 seasons ago when he tore his ACL, and then again when he tore the other one. So I think that's just, it's also his style of play. He doesn't throw his body around like he used to. So that helped him a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with you on that.
So that's why I think, and because he's a better skater, he can still move, and obviously he still scores. Like he's still got it.
Yeah.
I just think he'll be, maybe not with the Sharks, who knows, but he'll be back, I think, for another season or two.
With the Sharks. I don't think he's going anywhere with the Sharks. Could be wrong.
4 paws up for hockey. You guys are great. Thanks for putting it all into perspective.
I feel like every time we do this, we talk somebody off the ledge.
I think so. I think a lot of people join because they go, they see a lot of negativity online. The sky is falling. And then they come to us and they go, oh, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. I think it helps. And on that note, I think that's it.
We done?
Let's call it.
Okay, let's call it.
Let's plug some stuff. Go ahead.
No, I don't. No, you go ahead. It's okay. I don't want to take up.
Well, let me get the link. So go ahead.
The link to what? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. Start this up here. So if you would like to support the show, anybody who was helping us out with the super chat, I know like the last time around we got a few folks that chimed in with super chat. We do appreciate that stuff. Thank you guys so much for that. But we do have the shirts. You may as well get something if you're going to donate some money to the show. So we do have the shirts back there. You can see the gray one that's over Aaron's bald head. We also have them in black and teal. We have the black with the deep V cut, as well as hats and stickers. And if you go to the Fin Factor...
Well, I just sent out the link so they could see it.
If you go to that link, which was thefinfactor.com, and
directly to the store.
And store and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It says support the show. That's what you're doing. We do appreciate you supporting us.
We also have a coupon code.
We have a coupon code, which I was about to get to, but that's okay. I don't know. You want to do it? I don't know. I don't know how to say it.
The coupon code is?
Patty.
P-A-T-T-Y. Patty.
There you go. Yeah.
For Patrick Marleau coming back. Free shipping in the USA. And no minimum orders either. So anything you buy, free shipping. Don't forget to use the code.
Buy a 3-pack of stickers, free shipping. Buy 47 hats, because why wouldn't you? Free shipping. So, yeah. Good deal.
I'm just going to put this note up there, Jason, from Caretaker Wanted. Bald is beautiful. Thank you. And because I have the power to read all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And who's down for
there's
NHL
like
20 from Lundy?
Sorry, there's 47 other comments that are like, the hair is nice, and then there's one that's bald is beautiful, right?
No?
Who's down for NHL 20 after this? I'm probably not, but... No, I probably will, actually. I might pop
we're
on.
recording a show after this.
Yeah, but I might pop on.
That's going to be super late.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Hey.
I will not be.
See,
I'm going to
okay,
bed.
maybe I talk a little bit much, but I'm a man of the people, okay? I'm there for you guys. This guy... Bald is beautiful, but Bald is tired of going
real
to bed.
Quick,
so
the Wrestling Gremlin podcast. Thank you for joining. I'd be down to play, but I'm part of the power turnoff. Just wanted to a quick note, and I meant to do this earlier. Is a quick shout out, and our hearts are with everybody in those fires up north.
Yeah.
We actually have a very good friend who has to evacuated, thankfully, and he's not even sure if his house is there right now. So a lot of people dealing with a lot of the fires again, like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So if you're tuning in and you don't even have power, thank you. That's ridiculous.
I mean,
thank you.
I cannot imagine leaving my home, going somewhere. I mean, he's bouncing around to different family members. Thankfully, he's got some folks that are near he can stick with. But I can't imagine not knowing if my house is still standing or not. That is just bonkers to me. So yeah, again, I hate doing the whole thoughts and prayers because thoughts and prayers don't really do much. But we're at least, we're concerned for you guys, and we hope everyone out there is doing well and doing okay, and we hope everything turns out for the best. It's just crazy. I just can't imagine.
And stay safe. And if they tell you to evacuate, listen to them, because 2 years ago you saw how quickly that went through, and you don't want to be evacuating at 3 in the morning to a police officer pounding on your door to tell you to get out because you got 5 minutes. That's even worse.
True.
So listen up, and nothing's worth it.
So we want some more perspective there. 4 Paws for Hockey. Here's some perspective. If all we have to do is sit here and complain about the Sharks not being so good, we got pretty good lives. So with that, God, I feel like Jerry Springer. Be good to yourself and each other.
And those on EASHL looking, because there's a couple of people asking, search TFF and put the region on all. Is that right?
Sure.
Or West? Or I don't know.
I kicked a few people out of ours because I think we might have hit the max. So people might have been knocking down the door and they couldn't get in. I don't know. So there's probably like 3 spots or 2 spots that are available.
And I know the Xbox team had a bunch more from last time I saw last week.
Okay.
So I think there's plenty of space there if you're on Xbox.
If you're trying to get in and you can't get in, maybe just email us, thefinfactor@gmail.com, and I'll go through and see if there's a couple guys that maybe haven't played in a long time. I can kick them, even if they've got games played. And then we'll get some folks in. But if I'm kicking some other people out, you better be throwing down. You better be getting the game played numbers up. I just want games played.
Don't be that person next week that gets kicked out.
Yeah, because I joined 0 games. You're done. So anyways, I just want the activity. Is really all I'm looking for. I don't care if you're good, bad, or indifferent, whatever. I don't care if we win or lose. I just want the activity.
Yep. So thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe if you have not for some reason. We're going to record an episode right now that'll be out tomorrow morning. So we will see you all tomorrow.
Oh, I don't know. You're doing the closing now too, I guess.
So bitter. So bitter. Love it.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Appreciate it. We'll see you probably tomorrow.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.